Hey, Cardinals, welcome to episode number 6 of the Cardinal Edge podcast. Coach Rosier here, obviously, and we're talking today about the U of our refuel model. And when we get into the E plus R equals O, we're going to talk about adjust and adapt. So, hope everybody's doing well. Today is April 10th, 2020. So, we are in the middle of quarantine during the COVID era. So, if you're listening to this soon, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. So, let's get right to it today. Let's talk about U of our refuel model, which is utilize sleep and recovery. So the benefits of sleep. Sleep is the number one recovery tool your body prefers. So sleep is magic to your body. We have all these recovery things we do, right? We do foam rolling, and we do band stretching, and we do yoga, and we do all this stuff. Well, that stuff's great, but you can't out recover stuff like that, like with modalities like that, if you're not sleeping well. Okay, sleep is the number one thing your body prefers when it comes to recovery. Okay, so the reason why is during sleep, all these hormones and amazing things are released to promote, from a athletic performance perspective, muscle gain and strength gain and those type of things. But also, it's going to benefit you in school as well. Memory and stuff like that is built while you're sleeping. You don't necessarily get stronger in the weight room or smarter in the classroom. You actually get stronger and smarter when you sleep. So chronic sleep deprivation is a serious thing that we need to try to mitigate as much as we possibly can. And looking at the second bullet point here, if you remember back to the kind of objectives of our department, is number one is to reduce the likelihood of injury. So this bullet point number 2 kind of plays into that. It says lack of sleep leads to overtraining and a higher risk of injury. Athletes that get less than 8 hours of sleep a night are 1.7 times more likely to get injured than those who get more than 8 hours. That was a study done a while ago that included a very, very well done study that really kind of highlights the importance of sleep and why so many people talk about why it's important that you get your sleep. Another benefit is improving mental and emotional stability to keep your body calm and focused. I think everybody understands that when they're tired, they get cranky, they get short with people. Obviously, in an optimal environment to be operating in. Okay, but obviously, the number one tool or number one benefits of this is just that recovery, the ability to get stronger and smarter and stuff when you sleep, and also obviously injury reduction. Get your 8 hours of sleep. There's a reason why people are telling you that, and it's because of those things. So going into our guidelines, get at least 8 hours of sleep a night. And I know the second I say that, all the college kids, all of our athletes at Jewel start rolling their eyes because they got so much to do, which I understand. So typically during the season, if I had to put a number on probably our average amount of sleep our athletes get, I put it around probably the low sixes, 6.2, 6.6.5, maybe tops on average our athletes get us to sleep at night. If we push that up to 8, we would notice a big difference. And especially after, if we can get an extra hour after, competition days, your body needs more sleep after those days from the added stress. We would go a long way at reducing some of these injuries we have. But I know that it is hard to do. You got class, you got to study, you got study hall, practice, weights early in the morning. It is hard. Okay, there's no doubt. What I like to challenge athletes a little bit is just time management. I think there's a lot of times that athletes can be a little bit better with how they manage their time, to where maybe they don't have to stay up till 2:00 in the morning studying. Maybe if they were more productive earlier in the day, maybe they could get to sleep earlier at night. But sometimes that's still not the case. Sometimes you are that busy and you do have that much stuff going on. We need to try to maximize and make sleep a priority. I think if you make it a priority for you 80% of the time, you'll be able to find ways to make that happen. Let's talk naps a little bit. Naps during the day rejuvenate your body and refocus. So there's kind of some sleep or nap guidelines here. 10 to 20 minutes are good for a boost in alertness and energy. 60 minutes are best for improving memory, focus, and creativity. And then up to 90 minutes is almost like a full sleep cycle, but there's this window kind of between 20 and 60 minutes, and it honestly depends on who you are and how your sleep cycles work. But generally 20 to 60 minutes probably, which is kind of no man's land. And if you wake up during that time, like it says here, you're probably going to wake up feeling groggy and almost more tired than you were. And that's why I think everybody's had that. They've woken up from a nap and were more tired than they were before they went to sleep. It's because you woke up at a particular part of your sleep cycle. So if you just need a quick boost of energy in between classes or before practice to something, keep your naps 10 to 20 minutes. More isn't necessarily better unless you can get a full sleep cycle in. So typically, what I suggest people doing from naps is make your nap 20 minutes or less, or an hour and a half, or a full sleep cycle, whatever that is for you. Don't go 45 minutes. If you only got 45 minutes, go for 20 and then spend the other 25 minutes doing something else. Utilizing recovery tools and techniques to decrease soreness and promote recovery. That's foam rolling, band stretching, partner stretching. Because we always, especially when we're operating at normal functions or normal schedules and stuff, the weight room is typically, for the most part, always open to come in and do those things. Sometimes our athletes make comments that makes me think that you are just waiting for someone to tell you to band stretch. We have athletes come in all the time like, can we band stretch today? Maybe. We may or may not have time to do it, but guess what? You can band stretch. No one's stopping you from band stretching. No one's stopping you from stretching in your dorm room while you're studying or while you're playing 2K or watching TV or whatever you're doing. No one's stopping you from getting these extra work in. Don't wait for a coach or someone to tell you to do it. You can do these things, and it ultimately comes down to you to do it if you're serious about your health and your recovery. So going down to our tips. Turn off all electronic devices at least 30 minutes prior to going to bed. I'm pretty realistic. I'm not naive enough to think that you guys are actually going to do that. I don't do that myself. It's really hard to do. But if you find yourself staring at your phone, and that's probably the reason why you can't go to sleep, put your phone down, maybe read a book and help. Cool, dark, quiet room is the best environment for sleep. I think most people know that. 1 to 4 o'clock is the best time to nap. I was talking to an athlete a few weeks ago and asked them, they talked about they couldn't go to sleep at night. And I asked him if they took a nap. He said, yeah, I took a nap. I said, what time did you nap? He said, I napped from like 3 till like 7 o'clock. Well, number one, it's 4 hours. That's not a nap. You went to sleep. Number two, it's too late in the day. So like, if you can get a nap in right before practice, that 4 o'clock window, that'd be a great time to get a nap in. And then I think everybody's been in this situation as well. If you cannot fall asleep, focus on relaxing instead of trying to fall asleep. Okay, so I think everybody's done that where they got weights at 5:30 in the morning, gotta get up at 5, and it's 10 o'clock. And if I go to sleep right now, I get 7 hours. And then another hour goes by. Well, if I fall asleep right now, it'll be 6 hours. And you just get more frustrated. So if you have trouble falling asleep at night, focus on relaxing instead of trying to fall asleep. And that relaxing, and something's really good, is what do we do at the end of workout sometimes to get your heart rate to calm down, to get you into a relaxed state? Belly breathing, right? Do belly breathing to help you go to fall asleep at night if you have trouble. All right, kind of covers our sleep and recovery portion of refuel. Again, obviously, very, very important. You should prioritize it, make it a priority. Okay. All right, moving on to ERO to wrap this thing up today so we've done R1 through R3. So let's recap those real quick. We had press pause, got your mind right, and step up. So that's all in basically how to respond is 1 through 3. How to respond. You press and pause, get clarity. You've got to have a counterproductive state of mind, and now you're doing what is necessary. You're acting in that situation. Now we're going to R4, which is adjust and adapt. Okay, so the purpose of R4, adjust and adapt your R based off events that occur and outcomes you're producing. Okay, discipline must have flexibility to adjust and adapt. This is one of the most important ones. It's about getting feedback. It's about taking that feedback, applying it to your context, and making adjustments or being persistent based off of what you're getting back. So What is missing with the most outcomes you want or going after, but you're not getting, is a lack of disciplined action or lack of adjustment. Um, and I love this just from a simplicity sake, is if you're not getting something you want, or your outcomes you're producing aren't the outcomes you want. So that means, you're losing too many games, or you're not playing like you think you should be, or whatever. The answer is probably a lack of disciplined action, or you're not making adjustments. I'll tell you, one of the most frustrating things that I have seen from a lot of our athletes, just being pretty transparent here, is athletes that continually do the same thing year after year. Athletes who I've seen now 2, 3 years in a row, they have the same mindset, they have the same habits, same work ethic, and then, or this the team, how the team operates itself is basically the same year after year, and they getting the same outcomes, and they're shocked by it. They can't figure it out. You're not changing anything. You're not adjusting. Maybe it's a lack of discipline action, or lack of adjustment, and adapting to what needs to happen. So let's get into the mechanics of this. So adjusting and adapting, is important to stay within E plus R equals O. Okay, so you must adjust and adapt to the event or when the outcome demands it. So adjust, adapt to events that happen to us, or when the outcome demands that you need to adjust. So that means you've gotten feedback that the outcome is not what you want. So your outcome, this is an important concept to understand within R4 here. Your outcome is simply feedback for how well your responses are working. Okay, so if you're getting outcomes and they aren't good, okay, your plan was wrong. It's not right. Okay, it's not right. So you either need to change your responses or be more persistent with those responses. So if the outcome's still not what you want, but you're making progress towards it, the answer might be you need to be more persistent now. Just keep plugging away. Okay. But the outcomes you're wanting, or the outcomes you're getting, aren't what you want, and you can't realistically, it's important to be real with yourself, say that you made any progress or anything's any different than maybe some of your prior attempts or seasons or whatever. Okay, well, you need to adjust your R. Different R is important there. Okay. All right, 3 spots to make a change. A responsive change is when you're responding to an event triggered it. You need to change to your environment or your circumstance that's out of your control. An E trigger response is COVID-19. Okay, something happened out of your control, coronavirus. You need to change your responses based off this environment and circumstances out of your control. That's a responsive trigger or adjustment. Proactive is an O trigger. Okay, desire to achieve a new goal. You make the decision for a new outcome. So I love kind of the postseason period for athletes if they take it serious, because you just got a whole season's worth of feedback, right? You just got a whole season's worth of outcomes, both from a team standpoint and an individual standpoint. Okay, so a proactive change would be, okay, I didn't play as much as I'd like to. I'm going to change these to help with that. I'm going to work on my weaknesses. Or we didn't make the playoffs like I thought we would. Okay, we need to make some different changes. An outcome triggered is a proactive leading to that new goal or new direction, is an O triggered change. And then transformative, it's an event and outcome triggered. So that's transformative, is when like a big major growth period of intense personal change, where you need to decide like, okay, I need to change as a person, or maybe from a team standpoint, we need to just change our entire mentality. Our entire culture is terrible. We need to transform this entire outlook. Like when you get a new coach that comes in, that new coach may come and say, we need to transform everything that's been going on here because that's why we're not winning. Okay, so transformative is when the events and the outcomes both trigger you to say, all right, I'm not getting the outcomes I want, and I need to adjust to these new situations, this new environment I am, to where I need to be a different and a better version of myself to survive in this environment. That's a transformative change. Okay. So this is obviously about change a lot. So don't BCD to change. Some of you have heard me talked about BCD, and that stands for blame, complain, and defend. One of the biggest tales or signs of a losing culture is a culture of blaming others, complaining about everything, and defending yourself and defending your own actions. Okay, but change is real, necessary, and it's an opportunity if we use it in that way. Okay, so people resist change for emotional, not logical reasons. It's afraid of the unknown, being uncomfortable, more committed to the way we're doing things than what actually produces the outcome we want. So let's talk real quick about change. Like, we're living in a world of change right now with the coronavirus. Okay, people are resisting that, or resisting entirely off emotion. There is no logic. If you look at the reasons why we're, quarantine and all that, it's very logical, right? Staying at home and all that is a very logical thing. But people resist that because it's emotional, because of their emotions. They want to go hang out with their friends. They want to go do these things. It's not fair to them. It's not, whatever it is. But those aren't logical things. I think everybody can recognize that. Okay. So people resist the change for emotional, not logical reasons. Um, Again, being afraid of the unknown, being uncomfortable, and they're more committed to the way they're currently doing things than what actually produces the outcomes you want. I think that's a big one. I think people like weight loss, people who are overweight and need to lose weight, they know the change they need to make to produce the outcomes they want, but they're more committed to eating terribly and not exercise. It's not a secret on how you lose weight. It's you exercise and eat better. But they're more committed to doing the things that they're doing now that's comfortable to them, than being uncomfortable and doing what actually they need to do to produce the outcomes of losing weight they want. I think it's a really important concept to understand. All right, a couple more notes on this. Step up to change with clarity in your right mindset. Cynics, or people who resist change, are really, it's really easy to be a cynic. So it's really easy to stick around. Everybody knows a cynic or a pessimistic type person. It's really easy to be that. But try to outlast that by being optimistic, and seeing the big picture on that change. Okay. And then the last thing to talk about this is, I think probably the tendency, if you're listening to this with an open mindset, is no such thing as organizational change, right? So organizations change by the individuals within the organization changing themselves. So people don't want to hear that, though. They want the boss or the athletic department or whatever to be the change, rather than do the work to change themselves. But big organizational change happens by the individuals within that organization changing, and then the other person changing, and then the other person changing, for the greater good of the team. So that kind of wraps up everything on my notes here on Adjust and Adapt. And this is one of my favorite ones because I think feedback's really important, like I've already said. But so I challenge you, think about just whatever your most recent feedback was from an athletic standpoint, whether it was the end of the season, maybe the end of a testing period in the weight room. What were your results? Good, bad, kind of the same? What were they? Why were they that way? Was it a lack of disciplined action? Was a lack of adjustment? Are you doing the same things as a junior than you were as a freshman? That's probably a problem. Okay? Or are you blaming someone else for it? Are you blaming the reason why you haven't gotten stronger in the weight room on me? Maybe it is my fault. Maybe. Are you blaming the reason why you didn't play on your coach or another teammate? Are you blaming the reason why we didn't make the conference tournament on your teammates, on your coaches? If you have that mindset, you're not working with any ERO. Okay, you're not. Okay, you're blaming someone else, instead of looking in or inside of how you can get better at your responses, adjust and adapt to make yourself better. Great concept. I hope you enjoyed diving into some of that stuff today. That kind of wraps up episode number 6 here. Before our next episode, we'll look at R5, which you see right there is make a difference. So That's it. Keep fighting your Cardinals. We'll talk to you soon.